Shalom Havrim, James Trim here. My last video, we talked about the difference between the Nazarenes and the Ebionites, and we demonstrated by looking at primary sources that the Nazarenes and Ebionites were two different, distinct groups with different sets of beliefs, and that the Ebionites originated as a split off that apostatized from Nazarene Judaism, while Nazarenes were the original Jewish believers in Yeshua as the Messiah. We got a lot of comments on that particular video, and a lot of the comments were questions and concerns, and or asking me to elaborate further on the issue of the virgin birth of the Messiah, a point which the Nazarenes historically clearly believed and the Ebionites clearly historically rejected. And so that's going to be the subject of today's video. Before we get started, I want to ask everybody to please donate to support these videos. You make these videos possible. Donations have been low this month versus last month, and so we really need you to step up and donate if you possibly can. You can do that by sending donations by PayPal to donations@wnae.org, or by clicking on the donate button or donate link in the video description. Also, I'd like to ask everybody to please like this video, give us a thumbs up, and we have a very high like to view ratio, something we're very pleased with. And I also want to ask everybody to please subscribe to this channel, click that notification bell so you'll get notifications when new videos come out. Let us know what you think in the comments section, and participate in the discussions in the comments section. As you know, in fact, this video is a result of those comments. I read those comments, I reply to comments and get involved in the discussions myself at times, and in reading those comments, they sometimes result in more videos, video topics and whatnot. And this is one of 3 videos that I'll be doing on the virgin birth. And today's video is going to be, is titled, in fact, "Those Pagan Virgin Birth Stories Evaporate." There is a false claim that circulates that the idea of the virgin birth actually originated in paganism and was engrafted on the idea of Yeshua as the Messiah by early Christians incorporating and merging their beliefs with paganism. This is simply not true, as we'll demonstrate. If anything, the opposite is true. There is evidence that pagan religions after the 1st century began to incorporate the idea of the virgin birth into some of their traditions and mythology after the 1st century, and therefore more likely it seems that the idea of a virgin birth migrated from the idea of the virgin birth of Yeshua as the Messiah into paganism, and not the other way around. So there's a meme that I have seen circulating around on the internet that gives usually with some pictures and whatnot, variations of this meme, a number of pagan deities alleging that they had a virgin birth, and oftentimes it's in combination with other things to try and tie together a December 25th birth date or whatnot. I'm not going to deal with any of that. I'm just going to deal with the allegation that these pagan deities had a allegedly virgin birth. The first one is Horus. Horus was the son of Osiris and Isis. Isis was impregnated by Osiris after she gathered the parts of the dismembered body of her husband Osiris, and she resurrected him. In the oldest account, I'm not saying these things actually occurred, obviously, I'm relating the mythology. In the oldest accounts of the story, she retrieved the whole body, but in later versions, she could not locate his male member, okay? And so she fashioned a new male member for him out of gold. There's no indication that Isis was a virgin. The gold member was by implication fully functional, in some sort of magical way, magically able to function. And Horus did not have a virgin birth. Okay, he was the result of, allegedly or supposed to have been the result of a sex act between Osiris and Isis in which Isis was impregnated. And it was only in later versions of the story that Osiris's member was prosthetic, and even then it was fully functional. Okay. So there's no virgin birth of Horus. That's inaccurate. Horus was allegedly the result of the impregnation of Isis by Osiris. Let's now talk about Atus. The myth of the origin of Atus begins with the daemon Ogdistus. Ogdistus initially had both male and female genitalia, but the Olympian gods, fearing Ogdistus, castrated the male member and cast it away. This was, in ancient pagan thought, supposed to rob him of his power, essentially, demasculate him. An almond tree grew from the male member, and when its fruit was ripe, Nana, a daughter of the river god Sangarius, picked an almond from the tree that laid it in her bosom. It then disappeared, and she became pregnant with Atus. There's no indication of a myth that Nana was a virgin at the time, and her impregnation resulted from a seed which came from a male member. So there's no virgin birth here either. All right, so now let's look at Dionysus. Dionysus was born to the mortal woman Semele and the Greek god Zeus. That was at least the mythology. But since Zeus' wife Hera discovered that Zeus was having an affair with Semele, this is definitely not a virgin birth either, but a very physical sexual relationship that Zeus had with Semele, which resulted in her pregnancy. Okay, so once again, no virgin birth. Okay, let's talk about Krishna. This is one of the most absurd claims of a virgin birth from paganism. Krishna was definitely not supposed to have been the result of a virgin birth. In fact, Krishna was the 8th child of the union of his mother and father. So his mother and father had 7 children before Krishna. That means that Krishna's mother was not only not a virgin, but she'd had 7 sons before Krishna. So no virgin birth there either. You see the dishonesty? that's coming from those that want to attack the virgin birth of Yeshua as having some origin in paganism. So far, each of the pagan gods that is supposed to have had a virgin birth didn't have one. There's just no way to get a virgin birth out of it. Okay? Horus didn't have a virgin birth. He was the result of a sex act between Isis and Osiris involving a male member, either a normal male member from a resurrected Osiris, or in later traditions, a prosthetic one, but a functional one. Atus was also the result of a seed that came from a male member, and there's no indication that his mother had previously been a virgin. Dionysus was the result of a very sexual and physical relationship between Zeus and Semilla. And Krishna's mother was not only not a virgin when he was born or when he was conceived, she had had 7 children before him. 7. Okay. Now we get to Mithra. And this is where it really gets interesting. The original story of Mithra's origin had Mithra crawling out of a rock. Now, I don't know if you could say a rock is a virgin, but the original story of Mithra's origin was that Mithra crawled out of a rock. So no virgin birth there either. There was a later Roman Mithra cult, and this later version of Mithra, known as Mithras, was born through a form of artificial insemination when his mother bathed in water in which his father's semen had been preserved. Even if we take that as a virgin birth, which I don't really think you should, it's more of a form of artificial insemination, but even if we took it as a virgin birth, the Mithra cult didn't exist yet at the time of Yeshua's birth, that Mithra cult. So if this is a virgin birth, then it may have been copied from the birth of Yeshua, but it couldn't have been the other way around. So if anything, in this case, the idea of a virgin birth of Mithra, if you can call that sort of artificial insemination a virgin birth, could have migrated from the idea of Yeshua's virgin birth over to Mithra, but not the other way around. And if we want to go to the story of the origin of Mithra that existed before the time of Yeshua, it was simply a story that Mithra crawled out of a rock. And if you want to call a rock a virgin, be my guest, but that's really a stretch. So the fact is that the virgin birth of pagan gods stories all evaporate when we start to actually examine them. The claim that the idea of a virgin birth was a pagan idea before the birth of Yeshua and that was engrafted by early Christians onto Yeshua is absolutely false. Okay? All right, in future videos, we are going to talk about the biblical prophecy about the Messiah, messianic prophecy, and on multiple levels, all the way up to the Sod level, and we're the very highest level of understanding of the scriptures. And we're going to see the virgin birth of the Messiah is very present in the Tanakh. That's going to be in a pair, at least 2, maybe 3, but probably 2 future videos. But today I just wanted to clear up that the idea that the virgin birth of the Messiah or a virgin birth originates in paganism is an absolute falsehood. It's not true. And these memes that circulate showing The lists of deities, and the ones that I've seen are Horus, Atus, Dionysus, Krishna, and Mithra. That they all supposedly had virgin births in their mythologies is false. Okay? All right, please donate to support these videos. You can do that by clicking on the donate link in the video description or sending donations to donations at wnae.org. Also, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, click that notification bell so you'll get notifications, participate in the comments. All of these things are things that the YouTube algorithm looks at to decide which videos to subscribe to recommend to new viewers. Also, please share these videos on social media with your friends, on Facebook, in relevant Facebook groups, on Twitter, and whatever social media you interact in email directly to your friends, etc. Okay, help us share these videos, and until next time, everybody, shalom.